Welcome. It's my pleasure to introduce Nanette Coleman. She is a PhD candidate in sociology at UC Berkeley and a multi-year UC National Laboratory Graduate Fellow. And according to her bio, this is the only distinction that's ever been given in history. So really amazing stuff. She is working in sociology of culture and organizations, focusing on cybersecurity, surveillance, and privacy in the US context. And actually, she's an alum of UB. So we're very happy to have her. She graduated here with an MA in economics and a BA in communication.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. As my fantastic colleague just mentioned, I am indeed a multi-year UC National Laboratory Graduate Fellow at Los Alamos, and am the only social scientist to have ever gotten that distinction in history. So it's something I'm exceptionally proud of, and they're funding my research for the next 3 years while I finish my dissertation. So let's get started. I thank you for your patience here, as since we started a little late, I will go a little late, starting at 2:11. So alongside some of the academic achievements that were noted in my bio, I want to note that I'm also a proud former McNair Scholar from here at the University of Buffalo, an Acker Scholar, a student athlete, and the university's first African-American student government president. I spent a lot of time in this building. While I think it's customary for you to hold your applause until the end, I would also ask that you keep any food items in your bag not off with me either. I got hit with at least 2 pies in this building. Was doused by a super soaker from the 3rd floor, and once swam through an office filled with from floor to ceiling with freshly popped popcorn. As the gold plate on the clock in the president's suite that I presented to former President Bill Reiner on behalf of my graduating class says, I had the time of my life when I was here. It is an honor and a privilege to return home to my alma mater, University of Buffalo, to give this talk at the Institute for Artificial Intelligence and Data Sciences, IAD days. Many thanks to my hosts. I want to begin by introducing my audience. We are a decidedly mixed bunch. Faculty, staff, students, industry folk, potentially clergy, and Father Pat is here, I think he's online. Family, friends, colleagues, mentors, and new friends. Because of this, I'm committed to not taking for granted that any terminology that I will use or concepts are known. One of the things I love about presenting to an interdisciplinary audience and mixed expertise audience is the chance to break down things to their essentials. With that in mind, let's look at 3 critical definitions and then we'll jump. Hopefully, you are not seeing. Okay. Hopefully that covers my screen. All right. So we're dealing in 3 particular things today in our discussion. One being misinformation, the second being digital literacy, and the third being discovery education. So if you are able to understand and follow these concepts, the rest of my presentation will go very well. If not, I'm happy to be busy. I also feel particularly appreciative that I'm following the previous speaker who did some of the heavy lifting for me on misinformation. So misinformation, false or inaccurate information, especially that which is deliberately intended to deceive. Digital literacy, a lot of what I work on is the ability to use information and communication technologies to find, evaluate, create, and communicate information. And then finally, discovery education. The intersection or interactions between these 3 things are at the basis of what I'm presenting today. So the traditional understanding of discovery education, I think no faculty member in this room would agree with, which is instruction plus education. I have never known an undergrad to need no instruction. And it also involves engaging a student where they're at and with their work. My approach, and you'll notice that discovery education is in my title of my presentation, envisions a sort of different framework. It's a Berkeley focused model where creative exploration begins when students first arrive on campus and faculty or grad students like myself work to the best of their ability to meet students where they are and engage them in projects that are not only of the moment, but are of the skills that they need to use in the future. It's very personalized, and what you're going to find today in the presentation that I give you is that I try very hard at our very large research university, Berkeley, to create a personalized, and I would almost say close to a small liberal arts college opportunity for our students. All right. So we're going to start fighting misinformation and discovery-oriented education. I thank the previous speaker because I was at a loss for my title and he was fighting, so I couldn't tackle. I had to fight also. So we're going to start with some background. I think it's important to begin with the stakes because I think we can once again take for granted our knowledge of the issue and the impact on people that are in this room as well as those who are not. So I'll begin with our stakes. So the data is clear. The proliferation of deepfakes, as my previous colleague mentioned, fake news, fake data sets, and even fake academic journals make it harder to trust the information we encounter online. While well-researched answers to questions with various citations written by probably myself and some of my colleagues in the room are always out there, so are extra deliciously convincing conspiracy theory criticism. The ever-thinning lines between fact, opinion, and fiction in the digital world are harming our democracy, but don't just take it from me. Last Thursday, April 21st, I was actually surprised that the previous speaker didn't mention it, former US President Barack Obama spoke to a packed gathering sponsored by the Freeman Spogli Institute for International Studies and the Cyber Policy Center in the heart of Silicon Valley, another institution I am familiar with. He was introduced by Institute Director and former US Ambassador to Russia, Michael McFaul, in his critical moment in history where much of the world is focused on one common enemy, Elon Musk, Putin. President Obama focused the majority of his remarks on what Ambassador McFaul called, and I quote, "If not one, it is the most important issue of our time for anyone that cares about democracy." Barack Obama, last week to this day, discussed misinformation. Excerpts from his remarks are as follows. The internet and the accompanying information revolution has been transformative. There's no turning back. He says outright, I'm not a Luddite. I may need to go to my daughter's for help with my iPhone, but he loves technology. But what he sees is that our new information ecosystem is turbocharging some of the worst elements of humanity. Not what Lincoln called our better angels, but some of the darker parts of our American spirit. Our brains are not accustomed to taking in this much information, this 24/7 information stream, and so we're overloaded. And the sheer proliferation of content and splintering of information audiences has made democracy complicated. If you search social media and search platforms aren't just the window that many of us expected when it was born. I remember when it was born. They serve as our primary source of news and information now, but no one told us that window that we looked through is actually work. That there are unseen distortions and subtle manipulations, some at the hands of funded foreign governments. All we see is a constant stream of content. He said cat videos and things kind of news. But those are also alongside conspiracy theories, junk science, quackery, white supremacists, racist tracks, misogynist screens, and over time, we lose our capacity to distinguish between fact, opinion, and wholesale fiction. I will also add to that rampant homophobia. Today, of course, we occupy an entirely different media reality than many of our parents. We don't have a shared culture. We're not watching the same news program every night, looking to the same things. And so, something happens that psychologists call confirmation bias, where we tend to look for and find things that reinforce what we already believe, or what we're already biased about. So inside our personal information bubbles, our assumptions, our blind spots, our prejudices are not challenged, they're just reinforced. Meanwhile, and I mentioned this earlier, sophisticated actors from political consultants to commercial interests to intelligence arms and foreign governments can gain these platforms. They're able to shift the discussion in ways that most people are unaware of. Understand it's not necessary for people to believe this information. He said, in order to weaken democratic institutions, you just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage. Use that to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theory, and then you know what? He says they have won, but I think what happens is we all lose. In addition to Barack Obama, another president that I admire, UC President Jack Napolitano, also went on the record early in 2017 about these issues, asking our faculty at Berkeley, where I'm in residence, a PhD student, that she asked that we each reach out and determine the best means beyond our research and work in the classroom to help the public distinguish between evil, long discredited ideologies and the voice of reason. I took this very seriously, and you'll learn very soon that the initiative that I'm going to talk about, the Berkeley Initiative, was founded in 2016. All of us in higher education community must do more to counteract misinformation and outright bigotry. Research also abounds in this area. I know we have a fairly mixed audience. Most of these individuals are psychologists or are at business schools, except for my colleague Ms. Bale. Research also abounds in this arena with scholars like Ms. Bale, Letitia Bode, Pennycook, and David Rand. Bale discussing how to make platforms less polarized. Bode with authors Braga and Tully examining the effects of exposure to misinformation as well as correction effects. And Rand and Pennycook's discussion with Cannon on the effects of prior exposure to perceived accuracy on fake news. And Rand and Pennycook's take on mental laziness is actually something I will address today. Mental laziness often leads us to failing to think critically about what we read on Facebook and in headlines about fake news outlets. My approach counters this. So let's get to the meat of what we actually did. That was a lot of background. I'm going to offer you some insight on how the interdisciplinary research group on privacy, which is a subset of the Coleman Research Lab. I originally wanted to call it that, but Berkeley said social scientists don't have labs. So until I get a cease and desist, Interdisciplinary Research Group on Privacy was founded in 2016 by myself, a very proud BIPOC PhD student. It is a virtual, standalone, discovery-oriented research and professional skills training program. When I say virtual and standalone, the initiative, well, the open education platform that I use for this tends to be used within the context of a course. So the students are trained within a smaller subset of a course. This is our entire focus, is tackling this information. So our focus is on privacy, cybersecurity, and surveillance literacy in 9 languages. Those being the focus of my research at Berkeley. So actually, let me go back. So what I will be discussing is the 2 ways that I train research assistants, generate research ideas for my research, and along the way make information access more equitable when it comes to privacy, cybersecurity, and surveillance topics, and also misinformation. So a little bit about who is doing the work in our lab. Our lab members are almost 100% women and almost exclusively people of color. Our lab members come from different affinity groups and experiences. We are comprised of students who are first generation, multi-generation like me, returning adult students like me, international students, LGBTQIA students, disabled students, undocumented students, Division I athletes, and monolingual and multilingual students, just to name a few. I actively recruit students to get as many different people as possible in the room, including reaching out to our DSP office, which is the office that serves our disabled students. We're diverse majors from sociology to economics to chemistry, molecular and cellular biology. And some of our students translate the work that we do from every language you can imagine, from Chinese and Danish to a language I just realized existed recently, Taiwanese, which is a language of India. We are a full range of education levels. Myself, the executive director, I am a PhD student, but I also hold professional master's degrees, both from here at Harvard University. And our lab leadership is a mix of students, postgrads, and undergrads. And our research assistants are primarily undergrad. Okay. Let's see. All right. The next 2 slides are going to tell you a little bit about what we do and how long we've been doing it. But before that, I want to make a fairly strong. So now more than ever, college faculty and students need opportunities to develop digital literacy skills. We started there not that long ago. We started with misinformation, digital literacy, and then we also talked about discovery education. So we need that to help us decipher and interrogate the maelstrom of information we all encounter daily. But how do we even start? Many are looking to big tech, Congress, the White House, which are all valid options. But this is a giant collective action problem, and it will persist until we have individual citizens have some way to chip away steadily at the bottom of it. So obviously, instead of looking to Washington, I look to Wikipedia. Okay, wait, don't leave. Okay, wait, I know what you're thinking. You can't trust Wikipedia, right? I actually held back saying Wikipedia for a while to make sure nobody left. All right, so people think, can't anyone edit it? You know, is it even reliable? Yes, anyone can edit it. It's the wisdom of crowds at work, if there are any statisticians in the room. In 1907, statistician Francis Galton realized with a bunch of people participating in a crowded affair could guess the weight of an ox faster than anyone in this country. Individual guesses varied widely, but the average was 1 pound off from the answer. The term coined by journalist James Sierakowski about this, I just butchered that name, is wisdom of crowds. Individual noise can be aggregated and produce remarkably accurate information. Still not convinced? Well, while you may not consider Wikipedia the exact right tool for this complex job in fighting misinformation and upholding democracy, you should know that my third favorite president, I mentioned President Barack Obama, President Janet Napolitano, and then also the late Eric Olin Wright, the former president of the American Sociological Association. It is a call to duty, ASA and the Wikipedia Initiative in 2011. He famously called sociologists to action on Wikipedia, calling it a real utopia that embodied ideals of equality, open access, participation and deliberation, and a domination-free environment. He also provided a salve for skeptics. I recommend that you read it. Time will prevent me from going over everything that people worry about with Wikipedia. The Wikipedia assignment, which my initiative is built on, appeared on college campuses in 2010, fully gaining attraction and popularity. Cynthia Tissick, I believe at UB's library here, ran a Wikipedia education project this last year. In fall 2021 is running an emerging scholars project now. Her work and my work both use the amazing Wiki education platform, which is free and accessible to faculty members anywhere, and even entrepreneurial grad students like myself, who like to build things to get people jazzed about research. The result, in 6 short years, hundreds of affiliated students have led the rapid expansion of publicly available information on privacy, cybersecurity, and surveillance on Wikipedia. The privacy literacy program teaches students how to actively counter misinformation using the firewall peer-reviewed articles already available at their fingertips. Going back to Cynthia, if you can believe it, one of her students, True Edits 1009 at UB, edited the page Privacy and Blockchain, which was created by a student of mine on Betty Queen in 2018, and also edited by other members of our lab that same year. That would be Angry Dolphin, Angry Flying Dolphin, Rainbow Dolphin, obviously friends, Cal Oasis, Panda Fantasy, I talked to him about that, and Tommy the Prius. So let's look at the details of what we did and our impact. So over the last 7 years, 2 projects, the Privacy Literacy Project and the International Privacy Literacy Project, have sought to reduce the content gap on privacy, cybersecurity, and surveillance topics, make academic knowledge more accessible, and diversify who edits Wikipedia, all while tackling, we'll say fighting, misinformation. We also, in the process, promote information exchange across languages and between cultures. A breakdown of the number of courses that I've taught since founding this in 2016. It initially started with just 1 course, and then when we hit 2020, with large influxes of students who were not able to be on campus, we rapidly expanded and went from, at a low, 3 students to actually 56 virtually involved with our lab to give as many people an opportunity for community and engagement and digital literacy as possible. So this next slide will help you better understand how our approach to the Wikipedia assignment is different from others. So side by side, PLP versus IPLP. So the Privacy Literacy Project, our domestic project, addresses content gaps or lack of verifiability in privacy-related articles, bringing knowledge from behind the academic firewall, which is the like. So as many of you know, there are individuals everywhere in the United States that live across the street from the university and can't gain access to the articles that are in the databases and books that are in the library. We also identify gaps and author new articles and improve existing articles within our focus area. We also create focus-specific tools for internal, and we've actually been approached about funding for external, creating external tools. Our international privacy literacy project, which is the result of our exceptionally diverse international population in Berkeley, addresses content gaps on English Wikipedia about non-US or UK cultures, and also addresses content gaps about privacy in other languages. In other words, instead of just porting things from English Wikipedia to foreign language Wikipedias, we actually create a back and forth, so that there are concepts and things you might see in Telugu or in Korean or in Mandarin that don't exist on the US side or the UK side, and we translate those back and forth. We also identify gaps and translating articles between Wikipedias and create language-specific tools, once again, for internal use. This next slide will give you a sense of our workflow. So this shouldn't be too surprising to anyone who's ever taught a class. Recruiting, working, wrapping up is the approach of the day. In order to recruit the 50+ students that we have within our purview, we have very strong relationships with the research programs on our campus and heavily recruit from things like the SMART program at the university I will say University of Buffalo. That's because Berkeley is in Buffalo. I go. We have very strong relationships with the various research organizations at our university. We also do quite a bit of student leadership outreach, we hold info sessions, and our students are compensated with 1 to 3 independent study credits, mentoring and career coaching, and also unlimited boba and careers. I also have been known to take large groups of students bowling to keep them humble. During the middle of the semester, what our students are actually doing, we help them to identify an interest that connects to our area of expertise, which we call our Privacy Plus projects. So we connect their topics or their translations to that topic as an area of their interest. That is the discovery education piece of our work. They do regular wiki education training models. They create an annotated bibliography of peer-reviewed articles or do translations. We hold lab discussions, weekly memos. Keep in mind, all of this is virtual. Practice Wikipedia skills, improving 5 articles once a week, and do ongoing peer editing and article translations. So another quote I didn't include from Barack Obama, President Obama, is his mention that we're seeing a reduction or a rolling back of many of the civic institutions that exist in the United States. And what we also create alongside an opportunity to counter misinformation is a chance to engage in discourse and community in spaces where that is generally attractive. And then finally, our students are polishing and repolishing their work, uploading final drafts to the scary main space, and preparing blog reflections and a symposium presentation. We've done this basically every year for the last 6 years, continuously every semester and summers. But you're not here to listen to me drone on about the process. I want to give you a sense of what it's like to be a participant. I normally bring one of my students with me. Unfortunately, that was cost prohibitive, but I'm happy to tell you a little bit about our impact and also the work of one of our students. So about the student experience, our students work fully remote. What we do is adjustable. Our RAs can participate from every time zone. We have run students in 10, 15 different places at once across various universities, not just Berkeley. And our numbers increased during the pandemic, as I mentioned. All of our new research assistants or newbies participate in this project are expected to be sponges. They make mistakes, they're encouraged to make mistakes and take ownership of their work. I remember one particularly excited student who said he was trying to practice making mistakes. I said, did someone name a country in Latin America? He said, Italy, just to show that he was really invested in making mistakes. Students are in charge of their research. This is not a situation where students have no instruction, but they are guided in such a way that they become confident in their ability to shepherd these projects. They do their weekly annotations, translations, memos, and reflections, and our returning students actually help me run the entire process. So they do everything from the buddies and peer mentors to, as they advance to our project, have helped me to write applications for funding from all sorts of different organizations we are decently funded with. In terms of writing and in terms of skills, our students walk away with the ability to create bibliographies, annotations, edit, translate, draft, redraft, work collaboratively, independently, and learn resourcefulness, problem solving, attention to detail, adaptability, public speaking, a lot of things. Our students have gone on to medical school, graduate school. We're very, very proud of the mostly women of color that have passed. Again, Ava's not present with us. She's at work. She works for law firm. But she wanted me to make sure I explained what sort of a week in the life would be like, or whether her evolution with our lab as a member of the International Privacy Literacy Program. So long before she joined us, we started the process of translating all these different articles on privacy, cybersecurity, and surveillance that most people in the outside world don't have any access to. So, for instance, one of our students, his mother realized that the toy she brought home for his little brother actually connected to the internet. She had no idea. So one of our students decided to create a Wikipedia page on connected toys. So that was actually one of the first pages that we translated. You imagine that this could be something that we could issue in other countries. So when Ava first joined us, she translated articles. Then she worked on improving a previously translated article. She explored how French, one of her 3 languages, is used on Wikipedia and what the culture of the community looks like on Wikipedia for individuals that speak French. And then she helped me to consider different cultures where our translated Wikipedia work could live, and the challenges to porting something maybe from French-speaking Wikipedia to a French-speaking former colonial country of France or anywhere else. We also incorporated translations in both directions and asked people to propose articles to translate in other languages. So, and where we're looking into the future is engaging Wikipedians in languages to grow our work more thoughtfully. Again, another quote that I did not mention about misinformation from our former president is that one of the greatest challenges to misinformation is mobilization. So we're seeing things that are moving between cultures and mores are being challenged. And so creating greater dialogue across different languages and cultures has great value. All right, so since I've told you a little bit about the details and the experience of the student, I think it's important to share our impact. Sadly, the 2 people who left me back were missing. So our little group, ranging from 3 to 56 participants in any given semester, has over the last 7 years done all. We are fast approaching 1 million words added to Wikipedia. We have 240 million views of the articles we've created or edited. I recently asked my colleague Lane, who's actually on this call, and is a very important person to our project over at the Wikimedia Foundation, how we were doing amongst other projects. She said, "You're third." I was like, "Okay, third amongst social sciences, sociologists." She's like, "No. Third amongst social scientists." No. Third in California? No, she said, "Our little ragtag group of mostly women of color are number 3 in the world for academic editing initiatives for the work that we've done in the last few years. We remain the largest, most diverse, most consistent, and longest running group of women and women of color editing Wikipedia in the world." Due to that, I was a recipient of the American Association of Colleges and Universities K. Patricia Cross Future Leaders Award. I was jointly nominated by the SUNY system and also Berkeley. I'm a recipient of UC Berkeley's Chancellor's Award for Public Service with a special citation for service to communities of color. And our lab won a Digital Pedagogy Trailblazing Award and were recommended for an award for continuing to work during the pandemic. I will tell you, when I first started this, the idea that we'd be virtual 100% of the time was not received well. Like, what do you mean you're not going to be in Berkeley? What do you mean you're not going to be here talking to students? And then when the pandemic hit and we didn't miss a beat and added 50 more students, they got it. In closing, My Coleman Research Lab affiliates in the privacy literacy and international privacy literacy projects have written or edited articles receiving over 241 million views using information largely unavailable to the public. Most of the things that you have access to, students in the room, and many of our staff and faculty, are things that most people have no access to.